Are you an empath? I had no idea. So if you're feeling like me and you don't know what an empath is and you may be one, this video is for you. And if you're new to this channel, then I am the health hunk, a confidence coach, life coach, fitness coach, nutrition coach, the whole shebang. And if you're new to the channel, then feel free to subscribe, like, comment below, and share this video with a friend that needs to hear it. So first things first, empathy is so human. There's many people out there wandering around the world with this gift and don't know about it, especially in men. And I'm afraid men start to bury it down because it's not what society depicts for them or what you've maybe gone through in terms of your conditioning. And also there's many empaths out there who don't know how to deal with the gift, and they get beaten down in the expectation society or either in the wrong crowds and unable to cope with the pressures of being hypersensitive. So first thing is, what is an empath? Well, empaths almost have this paranormal ability to read emotions and are sensitive to the environment and things around them and are able to actually be very intuitive. It's such a gift. It shouldn't be a gender exclusive trait. It's actually a neutral trait that's very common in many human beings. So you might be an empath, and here are a few examples. Here's one. You might be queuing up for a restaurant meal, for example, and you see a little argument between the waiter and the person buying the meal. What's happening is he's like, oh God, come on, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I want my Coke and, you know, me coffee and me cookie. He's having a go, isn't he? You're an empath if you're taking that on. You're taking it almost personally, allowing that emotional turmoil or that emotional debate dictate your energy too. And that's you actually feeling how each person in the argument is feeling, because what you're able to do is put yourself in their shoes very quickly and without judgment. And here's another example. You may be able to actually read how someone's feeling by their non-verbals, the way they look, the way they act, what they're saying, and what their frown and faces are looking like. As an empath, you're hyper aware of how someone's feeling before they've even spoken a word. How fantastic is that? And so why empaths become therapists, mentors, coaches is they are very capable of putting themselves in your shoes into the deeper issues. And number three is that you're hypersensitive to consumption and consuming content online. The sad movies like the Forrest Gumps.
If there's anything you need, I won't be far away.
And the King Kongs. They're going to make you feel very upset at the end, or a dog scraggly and ruined on the side of the street. You're going to basically take on the emotional turmoil. Even though it's an animal, you're feeling how it's feeling. And I have taken a lot of emotional turmoil from dogs, having tried to save one myself here in Bali. And finally, you don't like conflict. You come out of conflict almost feeling more drained. You are a people person, but it does depend on who you hang around with and where you spend your time and energy. And so let's lead on to the downsides of empathy. Number one is, I'm afraid the world is a very unconscious place at times, especially when it's amongst men. There's what we call the dominance hierarchy, and it's a deep-rooted situation on our brains and survival mechanism. What it means is that men are competing for the hierarchy. They're trying to step up on other men to make themselves feel a bit more secure. When they do win battles and they become victorious, barge their way for territory, they're then actually feeling more confident, and what that does is spirals into more success, more victory, and even better well-being. The ones that are defeated are actually kicking off lots of receptors, stuff in their brain that's making them feel way more depressed. And that spirals out of control too, because they've then lost in a battle and now they're identified as the loser. And what happens is they just tend to create a bigger gap. You might think, why are the alpha males beating down the empaths, and those that are feeling more sensitive are getting more defeated by an instinctual animal kingdom? The reason why is actually empathy is such an attractive trait to females. It is seen as a threat by those who are not capable of it, so they'll beat you down with many unconscious tactics to make you feel insignificant, insecure, and a pathetic piece of shit. You're not. You've got a natural capability of allowing to get on with females. You're allowed to read females who want that emotional feedback. They want to be heard about how they feel, want to feel comfort, security in a man's presence. And if you're an empath, then you're already doing it subconsciously and naturally. Don't ignore your gift, but never ever fall into that turmoil state and fall into a spiral. And that brings us on to the second downside, is that empathy can onset mental health issues. And how Jordan Peterson describes it, in the animal kingdom, we become even more sensitive, more unworthy, and to build ourselves back up, we need a very conscious environment, stimuluses that are going to build us back up. It's why I went into personal development, why I cut off bad friends, why I cut off sociopaths and narcissists, and why I was very conscious of building myself back up and now creating a dialogue to think empathy is your greatest gift to be both creative, intuitive, and emotionally available in any and every given situation. And third and finally, the downside is that you believe the too sensitive metric. You might be doing personality tests online and truly believe them. You might be coming out as a highly sensitive person. And sensitive has bad connotations, especially when your parents are saying, oh, Josh, you're too sensitive, or your mate goes, oh, come on, mate, man up. And what that's already doing is saying, Josh, don't feel sensitive because it's a weakness. I'm afraid that's also garbage. If you need to, rephrase sensitive. Rephrase it to empathy. Rephrase it to empath, because hopefully after this video, you're gonna get a much better re-stigmatized version of what empath and empathy means and is. And so my story goes a little bit like this. I always thought feelings were gay, and gay stigmatizes me as a young lad in a sort of alpha male football culture in the locker room, you know, throwing banter which is aiming to knock each other's pegs down. And I didn't realize what was happening in front of my eyes. Just as unconscious as the boys around me in that locker room and playing on the field, I was being drawn into a competitive environment which wasn't me. I was made to feel that I was numb, lost, different. I was mentally ill. Is there anybody like me in the world? And I was so far gone in that lifestyle that I went on lads' holidays to Magaluf, Malia, Ayia Napa. I genuinely came out of those holidays which were all about booze, girls, you know, drugs, and talking about subjects which never actually brought emotions to the surface. I'm gonna pick on you because then the people in that environment that I'm picking on are then going to be scared of picking on me because they don't want to feel the way I made somebody else feel. And so what a lot of people do in a protective mechanism, and I'm not even aware of it, is nurture the boys at the top, because they're like, I'm going to be protective. I'm going to say, oh, he's a legend. He's got great techers. Oh, he can down punks within seconds. And if you give them that praise, which is what they want, they're huge egos, what happens? You're more protected because you feel under the gap they're creating and almost jumping on a board, which isn't you. And do you feel like that? Because I did, but I didn't get into that. I didn't praise egos because I knew something was wrong. I was getting into panic attacks, anxiety, thinking I was so weird. Anxiety was different and never a thing in the male world. And I even got onto the phone to my dad saying, Dad, I'm actually at the brink of my life here. I'm like, I'm weird, I'm different, I don't belong, I feel so lost, insecure, and I need to come home. I was in tears at the time. And I was in a panic state. I was so insecure. And I was in this fending for myself state. I went into fight or flight. I couldn't even actually have a normal conversation at the time because I was so in protective security mind, and I'd identified with a loser. And what happens with a loser? They become almost what their brain neurochemistry is doing. They're going to bring themselves down and become even more down as much as they identify with, I'm a loser, I'm weird, I have mental health issues, and the boys don't. But I'm afraid actually some of these lads may have mental health issues but are not aware of it, and insecurity is hiding in those that insinuate issues on other people. You might even be like me and feels pain and giving out hate or insults. Then that means you're an empath too. You don't want to make anyone else around you feel sensitive or feel insecure, and you won't thrive, I'm afraid, in a competitive environment. And that's why people go traveling. They change their environment. It means we're a whole new open mind, open society, new friends. Life is more than just my mental predispositions and more than how sensitive I feel, and I'm more than this. And so you need to make sure you create inspired action to get out. And when I did go to uni, found like-for-like minds and people who were empaths just like me were able to allow me to feel how I was, allow to speak about relationships, allow me to have deeper, meaningful conversations about vision, ideas, purpose, things that really mattered instead of gossip, the things that are happening on the news, the footy and what the league table's looking like. You think that's a life for an empath? I don't think so. So here's living proof that I came out of university with the same anxiety and depression as well, and came through the other side becoming a student life mentor, helping hundreds of students through their own issues. I even came out the other side of social anxiety and doing butler in the bar, naked at parties full of sexually frustrated middle-aged women and lots of attention and a need to instigate fun and be the center of attention all the time. I found that terrifying before actually doing it. I've also now traveled to Bali, got myself a great support network, and now building my own business on the back end and having the confidence to even talk to you and share my message now. And here are the upsides to empathy you need to know about. And let's talk about upside number one. Natural selection. This is a Darwinian theory, which is very old school but very prevalent, because we are ingrained at the subconscious and prefrontal cortex with many ways that we can survive and thrive in the world. And Men have a great ability if they're able to tune into their empathy. And why? Because you're a better mate and a better prospect in our natural, conventional world. Survival of the fittest. Take this. Women, listen up, because this is going to make a man a great prospect for you and an ongoing relationship. So what many women do is put men into boxes. They think of chemistry, physical attraction, and longevity. And let's break these down. So the chemistry is all about dopamine effects and being able to crack jokes and to have compatibility. Your personalities get along very well and you're able to flow with one another. The ability to feel each other's emotions. The second one is physical. Again, the physical attraction is still prominent, but not so much. Back in the day, we wanted a mate that was able to fight for us, go out and be the hunter-gatherer and get the food in before sunrise. And what women would do subconsciously is think, oh, that man's fit, so he's able to fight off predators and he's able to get a great feed for the family and allow us to essentially survive. And so physical attraction was only for the functional reason back in the day, but now it's more the aesthetic. It's now about how the female and male think, oh, our genes are going to make our kids survive and thrive. And I'm afraid everybody puts the physical on the pedestal, and that's not necessarily so. It's because women are now looking at status, financial obligation, and the ability to carry on a legacy for the kids. Third and finally is longevity. And this is all about emotional commitment, the ability to be emotionally available and be there when things go wrong. And this is where empaths play their part. Longevity is all about having that trust, ability for the female to open up and not feel insecure, that ability to have vulnerability, be an actual strength to a relationship, and they're in it for the long run. And so the problem arises is when the male and the female put the chemistry and the physical attraction way more on a pedestal, but the longevity is never seen. And we see it on TV programs like Love Island, you see it on superficial relationships on social media, and you're being programmed by it in terms of all the movies you're seeing and things going wrong. So as an empath, you can't allow yourself to be the emotionally available and yet still let your physical attraction or your ability to hold finances up, holding good chemistry in terms of your love languages, how you're communicating, bringing your gift into the bedroom, intuition into other areas of your life and being able to feel like you care. That's going to bring your chemistry. And so therefore it makes you an even better prospect in the dating world. And that brings me on to upside number 2 of being an empath, is that women and men are miserable in a codependent relationship, and one that isn't full of empathy. I see it regularly. When I go into the gym, I see a situation where there's a big alpha male, massive muscles, and he can't be very emotional. And the woman that's trying to play up to his expectations and is also uber fit is looking miserable. She's probably not able to allow that emotional availability to come out, which is so common and natural in a human being, and she's not able to be heard because she's putting up a facade to feel attractive, because this alpha male is big, strong, physical, looks great on camera, this may be fantastic on a social media likes ratio, everybody is valuing the face value way too much, and she's feeling that that is protection, because what did we speak about earlier? The more status is likely the more money and the ability to carry on a family, so she's putting everything in the wrong box. Dysfunctional relationships can come out, and where an empath or a codependent and a narcissist, sociopath, or someone who's an advantageous person, they're conflicting in their relationship because needs are not being met. You don't want to get into those relationships. So if you feel like you're not being heard in the relationship, have that down-to-earth, honest conversation where you are right now, or if you're in the dating scene, spot the red flags sooner. And so, empathy must be protected. And you ask why? Well, the world is unforgiving, insensitive, full of manipulators, full of narcissists, full of sociopaths that are willing to take advantage of you. I even had friends of mine who are fellow empaths, and because of the turbulent world we're living in right now, they actually ended their own life. So you need to take certain responsibility, and with these next tips, hopefully you can run away into the world feeling free, fresh, and using your empathetic gift that the world so needs right now. And to begin with, the first 3 reminders. Number 1, empathy knows no gender. Number 2, personality tests are flawed. Try not to believe it too much. And number 3, you need to grow a back spine, and here is how. My number one tip is to maintain a balance between feminine and masculine traits. And you need to identify if you are a bit imbalanced. You might be too much in your masculine, your drive, your order, to be competitive, and you're not allowing yourself to be open, be sensitive, being caring, all the other things that the female school of thought have. And then vice versa. You might be feminine, a bit too caring, and become more of a pushover rather than the narcissist sociopath, which is taking advantage of everyone. But what feels in the middle is love, something we all commonly share. And so create a statement. I've popped something in the description below, so have your free download below. It's something I use in coaching with clients, and we kind of create and tailor a statement that you can use every single day when you're feeling a bit imbalanced or you're feeling a bit turbulent. So just a little example, it's about being strong and sensitive at the same time. It's about being loving and caring and also confident in your own abilities. And my statement for a quick example for you is to love, be kind, be caring, and spread joy and positivity with strong, calm confidence. Make it a statement you can resonate and really remember in times you most need it. And number two, know your worth. What I do with clients also is create a circle of dignity. And the circle of dignity just means your strong circle of values. And whatever is the antonym of those values, the complete polar opposites, you can cut off the people that aren't really resonating with you, and the ideas and opinions and consumption of the real world, which gets very complex and full at times. You now know how to make yes and no's very easily. Create 5 core values that you strongly believe in. And then you need to create the boundary around those values. And to do so, you need to know what boundary person you are. An empath or a sensitive person, you're likely going to be a thin boundary person. So take the test below. And number 3 is to limit the damage sooner. I think sometimes we do need experience to teach us and give us that wisdom, knowing when to make decisions. We do need to be hurt to learn from our past, but never carry our pain bodies with us into the present and into the future, because it's stealing the gift of the present moment and your peace of mind right now. So to reduce that pain of you suffering it once again is to create get out of jail strategy. So if you're in a social situation with narcissists and horrible people, you need to have a little get out of jails. Maybe I'm going to go to the toilet, or I'm going to check out the buffet here at the meeting. Have plan B. Plans that are going to be able to sit more aligned with your personality and personal goals. Not so much, oh mate, we've got a meal out tonight, you want to go out for a few beers, and they're with people you don't really want to go with. You need a plan B to stick up for yourself, have a backspine, have a strong and firm no. It doesn't mean you're a person that's not personable or likable in that any sense, it's just that you have a strong value set and you are a high value person. So knowing when to say no is so key. And finally, to limit the damage even more is to destroy the attachment to the identity. You are not a sensitive person, you're not a highly sensitive person, you're not a pushover, you're not someone with thin boundaries that can't say no or stand up for themselves. You have to eliminate the idea that you are sensitive. Instead, repurpose that with the fact you're an empath, you have a strength and a gift the world so needs, and you are just maybe in the wrong place, or you're in a part of your life that's needing to teach you a lesson. And my +1, my hunky favourite, is to find people that glorify your gift. There's a saying that goes, we are what we think they think we are. So if you're hanging around people that are constantly reminding you of who you are, maybe sensitive or a pushover or unwilling or incapable to compete in the real world, then you're in the wrong place. Especially as men, allow yourself to find the woman of your dreams, essentially, who allows you to be everything and anything in every given moment. You're allowed to be intellectual, relatable, you're allowed to be funny and genuine, you're allowed to be sensitive and strong. You're able to incorporate everything. So find yourself someone just like Jazz, who's a very conscious human being. And Jazz, what's your advice to any men suppressing their feelings and empathy out there?
I'd say if you are in a relationship, find someone who accepts you and allows you to feel all of your emotions. No matter if you're in a relationship or not, crying isn't weakness, it's strength. Know
that you're dynamic, and if you're able to cry, then you're giving the signals to the other person to feel secure in them being able to too.
If you are seeking a conscious relationship as well, women will like it actually if you do show your emotions. It's something that I personally find attractive. That's why I'm attracted to Josh, because he allows himself to feel what he needs to feel and regulates it in a way that is healthy for the relationship.
if I was a guy or a girl trying to attract a conscious partner, how would I do that?
Be the person you want to attract. Before I met Josh, I actually said to myself that I want to be in a relationship with someone who feels their feelings and is conscious about feelings, allows me to feel as well. So I wrote that down, I got clear on it, then I became the person I want to attract to. So I allowed myself to feel all my emotions, support others when they need to feel things too. That's the way you can attract someone like that.
Okay, thank you, Jazzy.
Welcome.
And so hopefully this video has eradicated your fear of judgment and the ability to be yourself openly. And to leave you on this quote from myself is that you are a gift to the world ready to be unwrapped. It is you who is responsible for who unwraps you. Hopefully this video has given you all the things that's going to equip you to feel all secure in your empathy. The world would be a much better place if it wasn't so unconscious, don't you think? Let me know in the comments below which topics you want me to cover, and if you want to dive even deeper with me, check out the Health Hunk coaching below and I can see your sensitivity into strength. Much love. As always, what do? We keep it healthy, and most importantly, keep it hunky. I'll see you on the next one. Jazz, I'm closing the window. Finding that right now you're really struggling, just allow